Hey, Larson.
Yeah.
All right, so here we are in the office.
In the studio.
And that's right. And there is a very important piece that I've added to the set. It's not actually the shirt over a gold frame.
No.
There is actually something underneath
in the
there.
frame.
So I thought that we would do a little bit of a thing. Do you want to take the camera while I unveil this and try?
I can take camera while you unveil. Is it this way? Yes,
Yeah.
it is this way. All right.
I'm going to try to make sure that this whole set doesn't fall off because it is very, very delicate.
Very precarious.
Right. But this is a piece that we are adding to the Wednesday Going in Raw and the Friendo Club set.
Yeah.
So here it is. It's got this from Staples this morning. Voila!
Would you look at that?
Look at that. Got the Enforcer, and of course, the thing that he loves the most.
Horses.
He's got a bunch of horses behind him.
Horse.
Horse. So we got to put down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Put them on the board.
Maybe there's a 6th one back there on the board. So yeah, I thought that'd be a nice little addition.
Nice.
A nice little addition to our setting.
That is
so.
nice.
Enforcer, we miss you.
We love you.
And you're always going to be here with us, pal.
Exactly.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw. On today's episode, we're going to be answering a bunch of your questions. Also, we've got Randy Orton and John Cena talking about a whole variety of things. Well, John Cena is talking about the Vince McMahon allegations. We've got his response to that. Leaves a little bit to be desired. And also, we've got some information about a top beefy main event type guy in TNA and his contract, Larson. I'm excited to talk about that big, beefy main event level guy in TNA.
No 6'1", 220 pounds was considered beefy.
It is these days. But first, let's talk about Randy Orton and what it's like working under Triple H and the creative at WWE versus what it was like before. Randy Orton did like a pretty extensive interview with Sports Illustrated, this wonderful little fanzine about sports.
Yeah.
And
upstart fanzine.
Yeah.
Yes.
He had a lot to say, Larson.
He did. It was a wide-ranging interview. It's a good read. I suggest everybody go check it out. We'll link it in the description below. But as it relates to working under Triple H, now that Triple H is head of WWE Creative, Randy talked about that. Talked about his return at Survivor Series, and when he found out when CM Punk was coming back.
Ooh, we're getting some backstage info about something that happened.
Indeed. So let's start with the creative side of things.
Yeah, this is interesting stuff.
So Randy said the following, quote, "So much happened while I was out." Of course, he's out a year and a half following spinal surgery. When I left, the old guard was still doing its thing. Vince was still around. TVs were getting rewritten over and over again. The writers were being held up until all hours in the morning, and all that changed. I'm excited to work for WWE. Nick Khan is amazing. Triple H being in charge of creative is amazing. I've had a relationship with him for over 20 years. I went to his wedding back in 2003. We'd been at odds before when I was a fuck-up when I was young, and I won him back. He's seen me go from an adolescent asshole prick who didn't know what I was doing. I was an insecure punk. That's what I was. I'm the oldest sibling in my family, but he's like an older brother to me in many ways. He's always been there and had the best advice. Since I've been back, post-spinal fusion, and I'm talking like Chicago Survivor Series, Triple H and Nick Khan reassured me to come to them if I needed anything, and they'd take care of it. They've already proven they weren't full of shit when they said that. If something is bugging me and I don't want to put my body through a physical toll of a match, I can still make the TV, cut a promo, and hit an RKO or two. That is going to enable me to do this for a long time. I'm very happy with the changes. I'm very happy that Nick Khan, Triple H, Bruce Pritchard, and all those guys are proven they mean what they say. The company changed, and they care about the talent. I think everybody feels the same way.
There's a lot there that seems a lot different than when Vince McMahon was in charge. I mean, when you go back, we're about to talk about when he found out about CM Punk's return at Survivor Series. But when you think about the Colt Cabana podcast with CM Punk, so much of his issue with WWE at the time, specifically Vince McMahon, seemed to be Vince kept pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. He'd get out of surgery. Hey, pal, we need you in 2 weeks.
Exactly. Yeah. Way before the recuperation time, like the window of appropriate recuperation time for like knee surgery.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know if it was a situation where Triple H went through his health scare with his heart, the cardiac stuff. And maybe that, because I do distinctly remember him after that talking about how important it is to take care of your body.
Yeah, and you'd think also going through, during the Attitude Era, and well before that, and I'm sure well after, the wrestlers were working 300 days a year, and he's experienced the toll it's taken on his body, and I'm sure he's seen the toll it's taken on other wrestlers.
Yeah,
and whether the heart cardiac incident informed his perspective on that, or just his experience working in the wrestling business, or a combination thereof. It's nice to see that the current people in charge of WWE seemingly are more in tune and focused and aware that, hey, these wrestlers need to take care of themselves. And you need to give them the opportunity to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And to have healthy careers.
Yeah.
Rather than running them into the ground, making them work 300 days a year, get them 2 weeks off the entire year. I know that doesn't really add up, but you get the idea.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Or like Hogan said, working 400 days a year.
Because it's an easy, we've seen this over and over again. How many wrestlers, and it's just a natural thing, they turn to drugs, they turn to pills, and then they end up, dead at 43 or whatever. And that's just not a way to live, and it's not a way. It's just, we're living in a day where there is much more of an emphasis on mental health,
yes,
and on your just your body's health,
yes.
So it's good to know that Randy Orton, a guy who's really given his body to the industry as well, can walk in and say, hey, I don't want to go through this grueling match. Let me just drop an RKO, and the fans will pop all the same, and then let's call it a day, and they're cool with that.
Yep.
As opposed to Vince, go out there, you'll be fine. We're 20 minutes, pal.
I know. He'd ask Vince to lighten his load for the night, and Vince would probably book him in a 20-minute
hardcore
match or something like that.
I think it's funny.
Yeah, totally. So turning to Randy's return at Survivor Series last year in Chicago, he was going to be the surprise until he wasn't the only surprise. So he spoke about that as well. He said, I was supposed to be the surprise in War Games at Survivor Series. All these CM Punk rumors started a month prior, and everyone thought, since we were in Chicago for Survivor Series, that CM Punk would be the surprise. So they had Cody a week before War Games say that he had a friend, me, that was going to come. The surprise was spoiled all because Punk was rumored to be there, and WWE didn't want people to be pissed off, talking about his own surprise. He continues, the day of Survivor Series, I'm about to get my boots on. I'm feeling the nerves. It had been like a year and a half. Triple H was like, hey, Randy, I've got to talk to you for a second. I'm like, hey, yeah, what's up, man? Hey. So he told me a couple things, and then he went, oh, one more thing. He
pulled a Steve Jobs on him.
Yes, Punk's returning tonight. I thought he was fucking with me. I said, you're joking. He was like, no, I'm not. This is something that just happened the last few days, yada, yada, yada. I could have been really pissed, and old Randy would have been pissed. It was a defining moment for me. I went out there. We had a great War Games match. Everyone was excited that I returned. Everybody was excited that Punk returned, and neither return stepped on each other. It was a testament to how much I'd grown. It would have been an issue only if I made it one, so I was proud of the way I handled it.
I do appreciate that he does seem to have grown a lot. How many? Look, when you're in your early 20s, you're still trying to figure out your life, and especially being handed so much success at such an early age. I'm not going to say that's an excuse for behaving the way that he allegedly behaved, but he even admits it. He was an asshole back then. But that's just part of growing up also. And it's nice to know that because it was awesome to see him come back, and it didn't take away, and Punk didn't take away from that, and he didn't take away from Punk. And it's like, yeah, if you're going to be in Chicago, I'm glad WWE got that done. And it seemingly worked out really, really well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's always interesting to hear about that kind of stuff about how he was told that CM Punk is coming back.
Well, there was reports afterwards that talent were informed right before the match. That Punk was going to be there. And Seth Rollins trying to advance the story, not just in the moment having a fit about Punk being there, but I believe also in interviews was like, nah, we didn't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's trying to tell a story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And unfortunately, that story got sidetracked because CM Punk got hurt during the Rumble. But it's one of those situations where very much in kayfabe, Seth is answering these questions in character after Punk's return, relating to how and when he found out about it. So.
Yeah, man. Bringing back kayfabe, Larson. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
I like to see it. You want to do this stuff now? Because we're only 9 minutes in.
Sure.
Okay. So now on to some stuff that's just we got to talk about the Vince allegations thing, because there's been some responses, not only from Randy Orton within the same interview, but also from John Cena in, unfortunately, a sort of typical John Cena fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say about the guy. But so this is from Sports Illustrated again, the Randy Orton, his response to the Vince McMahon allegations. He says, I've got to say this. I wouldn't be where I am without Vince McMahon taking a chance on me a handful of times. I would not be where I am today without Vince McMahon. But fuck, I'm reading this shit. What you've seen and read, I've seen and read. As far as commenting on that, it fucking hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. And then he had an interview also with the New York Post. That's what this is? Okay. So in the interview with the New York Post, he says, I've seen the horrible things online that I don't want to believe because this man has done so many things for me. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been given a second and third chances in WWE. I wouldn't be in the position I'm now if it wasn't for that man. So part of me wants to not believe it. And then the other part of me understands that he could have done all these wonderful things for me and the business and created this amazing thing that will go on and on well after he's gone. But on the other hand, he's human and he made some fucking terrible mistakes. There's three sides to every story. Their side, the other side, and then the truth. I think a lot more has to come out before I can really speak on any of this. I think that would be the case for any of the talent that you ask. But I do know that about Vince McMahon, the man that I've known for the past 24 years personally, and I owe him for everything he's done for me. I say that with conviction because I won't be in this position without a lot of help from him. But if these allegations are true, then that's some horrible shit right there. I'm torn. It's hard. This is about as genuine and honest a response as you could expect.
Yeah, he is trying to reconcile his experience and his relationship with Vince McMahon with the horrendous nature of the allegations against Vince.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, it seems like based on the two responses, he's trying to work all that out. He's acknowledging the severity and the weight of the accusations levied against Vince and trying to reconcile that with the person he thought he knew.
Yeah.
And that I assume that's got to be difficult.
This is a dude, you know, for a guy who has seen a lot of Dateline. Yeah. It's honestly, it is similar to, you know, everybody. It's recording my thing right now. Whenever somebody kills people, which is like every Dateline, right?
Yeah.
There's always the people close to that person who simply cannot believe it.
They say, I can't believe this person who I've known X number of years would be capable of such a thing.
Exactly.
That's what they always say.
That's what they always say. And I get it. Like, if I find out you murdered a bunch of people, I would be like, I don't get it. The guy picks up his dog poop all the time. Why would he be out there murdering people?
It would be hard to reconcile what you know of me and that.
And yes. Like what you mean to me.
Yes.
It's like, how can I be close with somebody who's murdered 56 people? That's like a huge number. Like, why, Larson? Why?
That's a lot.
56 is just way too many people. So, similarly, and I'm trying to bring a little bit of, you know, brevity to this, but it's a serious issue.
It is.
I understand that it would be really difficult for the person who gave you the golden ticket, who gave you millions of dollars, who lets you live out your dream, even though you shot yourself in the foot so many different times. It would be difficult for you to reconcile this guy is a monster. This guy who gave me my entire life is a massive piece of shit. I can understand how that's a difficult thing to come to grips with. They're just probably going to have to, because I feel like there's too much evidence to suggest that it's true.
Yep.
John Cena had a different approach.
Oh, yes. So he was on Howard Stern's show. And so the preface this conversation that Cena had with Howard Stern is talking about his own experience, bringing up, you know, in relation to the Vince stuff, his own experience with people that he's known, that he's been friends with, who have been accused of some terrible stuff, and how he dealt with it. You know, in some cases, he said, I have to disassociate myself from that individual. And so he asked Cena, you know, how do you approach it? And says it's a complicated matter to talk about. This is what Cena had to say. This is Cena, quote, I don't think it's complicated to talk about. I think it's complicated to listen to. And that's kind of why I don't necessarily put a lot of time and equity into it. Again, there's still a long ways to go. I can say this. I'm a big advocate of love and friendship and honesty and communication, but in the same breath, I'm also a big advocate of accountability. I think you explained it well. If someone's behavior lies so far outside your value system that the balance shifts of like, man, I can't operate in a world where this works. That's the end result of being accountable. Cena continues. Right now, what I do is love the person I love, be their friend, and by that, it means like, hey, I love you. You've got a hill to climb. And you know, there's the saying like, you don't know who your friends are until shit hits the fan or your back's against the wall. That doesn't make any of what's going on any easier to swallow, but it's just telling somebody that like, hey, I love you, man, this is going to be a hill to climb, and we're going to see what happens, and that's that. It sounds so cliche, but it has to be one day at a time, but the same token, I'm openly said I love the guy, I've got a great relationship with the guy, so that's that. There's more, but the whole thing is super, super unfortunate. That's really the thing that sucks, because not only does it deal with an individual I love, it deals with an entity that I love, and it's one that I speak highly of. I want everyone to have the experience I had. If you're an employee at Disneyland, you want everyone to go to Disney and think it's the greatest place on earth, and when someone doesn't, or when you find out that there may or may not have been some things going on there, you know, this place I was speaking so great about, well, in some respects, some aspects, it needed a lot of work. That's more than just how do I feel about this person. Now I shift to, okay, am I doing all I can to make it better? From the advice of like, work as hard as you can, promote as hard as you can, is there anything I can do? So not only do I tell my friend I love them, I also switch the entity and say, how can I help?
This isn't helping.
No, it's not.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, maybe John Cena is just sort of processing it in his own way. He's never sort of spoken in the most relatable terms. Like, even, he's a curious fella. Even when he is analyzing his own match, remember his first match against Kurt Angle, and you and I were joking about, we watched it on a Smash Zone once. And it was interesting to see him break it down, because I don't even know the word for it, but it was like this. Sometimes John Cena comes off so alien in nature.
Yeah.
You know, like like he's Data from Star Trek, trying to piece together what it means to such a deconstructive degree.
Yeah.
That it starts to just not make sense.
Yes.
And that's what I gather from this. He obviously loves Vince McMahon. And he has a really hard time processing. And I think maybe it's not dissimilar to Randy Orton, and maybe he's being honest in his own way. But to not acknowledge that there is pure evil at play here,
Yeah.
the way I feel like Randy Orton tried to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reading this, it makes my heart hurt. That's not an easy thing to say. Very few things make my heart hurt. You know what I mean? Like seeing my child cry.
Yeah.
That makes my heart hurt. When I read the stuff about Vince McMahon, my heart hurt for that girl.
Yep. Same.
And because she's a human being, you know?
Yeah. I know the fact that Cena does not acknowledge, like Randy did, the severity of the allegations.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, it's incredibly disappointing.
He says he's a big advocate of accountability, but nothing in here suggests that that's actually true. Mm-hmm. And again, he's human, I think. And look, it is I will say this. It is complicated to talk about.
It is.
Clearly, because this right here is a mess.
Yeah, it is complicated.
It's a mess.
Yes. Yes.
And you just wish that people would be a little bit more human and say, this is disgusting and it's a mess, and I'm trying to reconcile that. And I feel like we got that from Randy Orton, and John Cena might just not be capable of communicating that properly. I don't know the guy, and I don't have that. I don't have a relationship with him. I can't say whether or not I like him as a human being or not. I appreciate the work that I've seen of his.
But you don't know John Felix Anthony Cena, the human being.
I don't.
No.
You know.
No.
And you can learn what type of person to a degree they are by their responses to things like this. And to a degree, I sort of understand Randy Orton, you know? I mean, that's all you can go by. Is like, okay, well, what do they say? What's their response? How are they feeling? you can sort of start to understand, okay, what kind of person is this? John Cena, this is a mess right here.
Yeah, it is.
But he's always been kind of an oddball, you know?
Yeah, he has a tendency to answer questions in the most seemingly obtuse way possible. Yeah, his answer to this is pretty disappointing in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So,
but then therein lies like the issue with like, you know, separating the person from the art. You know, it's like, I don't know the guy, and so I can't. You know, it is what it is. It's his response. It's a disappointing one, but it's also bizarrely kind of in line with what I would expect from him. I kind of didn't expect anything different from him, to be honest with you. You know, as much as you would hope that there would be something more human there.
Yeah.
He never really speaks in like human terms.
No.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, anyways, before we get on with news about TNA's Big Beefy. I mean, this guy is huge, main eventer. This guy could be main eventing WrestleMania next year. But he's going to be in TNA for a while.
Contract prevent him from doing so.
All right. We're going to talk about him in just a moment here. But first, let's go ahead and pay some bills, Larson.
This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know, Steve.
Yes, Larson?
I'm sure there are a lot of people who might think that relationships need to be easy to be right. But some of the best relationships are those where both parties put in the work to make them great. I know that some of my most important relationships were strained back in my mid-20s when I was dealing with severe anxiety. But therapy allowed me to learn the skills I needed to better cope with my anxiety and help me face the challenge of mending those relationships.
That's right, man. Therapy can be a place to work through the challenges you may face in any of your relationships, be it friends, work, your significant other, anyone. And if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. BetterHelp is completely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. And all you got to do to get started is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and then you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
So become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
All right, man, let's talk about TNA's huge main eventer. This guy is beef. He's got muscle on muscle on muscle, Larson. I don't know why. I don't know why that's a joke.
I don't know why that popped you. It does. It does.
Okay, the joke is somebody yesterday on one of our shows asked if you wanted a foundational piece for a new promotion.
Yes.
And you had two choices, Mike Speedball Bailey or Josh Alexander, who we're about to talk about.
Yes.
Who would you choose? And I said Josh Alexander, as much as I love Speedball Mike Bailey.
Speedball's great.
I think he's awesome. He's great. Josh Alexander is a bigger dude, and those bigger dudes, those are the kind of guys that AEW really wants, WWE really wants. In my opinion, in 2024, he's a WWE-sized guy.
Well, not in 2024. I have to wait till 2025, Steve.
Right, exactly, which dovetails into our story.
Yes, so TNA announced yesterday they had exercised the option on Josh Alexander's contract to extend it an additional year. So Fightful Select then subsequently reported that Alexander had asked TNA not to pick up the option. Not to, as he, quote, wanted to survey the landscape if possible, but apparently he was amenable to, if they had not exercised the option, to potentially negotiating a new deal with TNA. So according to Fightful, Alexander is now set to become a free agent after this extended TNA deal expires mid-February of 2025.
Man.
So if he's going to be beefy main event guy in AEW.
Look at the muscle on this. Like I brought up like a bunch of pictures.
He just did a Google image search on Josh Alexander. I mean,
massive.
He's
look
like
at
he's
flexing her. Look at that. Look at that.
I mean he's in good shape.
He's huge.
I wouldn't say huge, but he's in good shape.
Like 6'9". Look at him.
No, he's 6'1".
Look at the muscle. Look at the trunks on him, dude.
I mean, he's got some muscular legs.
Look at these cool tattoos and everything. This guy's got WWE. This guy could dethrone Roman Reigns. Look at that face right there. He's gonna dethrone Roman.
It's a good smirk. I'm not disagreeing. It's a good smirk. Nonetheless, if you want to see him in WWE or AEW, you got to wait another year.
Or tune in to TNA.
TNA Wrestling. It's interesting, and you know, from a business perspective, why is Josh Alexander to be like, hold on, TNA?
Yeah,
he just got rid of Scott D'Amore. maybe it'd behoove me, whether I want to stay here or not, for me to see what I can get in out in the free agent market.
Yeah.
Now where wrestlers have more leverage than maybe they have in a very long time, maybe ever, given that there's more competition. If he can go to AEW or WWE with a significant contract offer, and if he really wants to stay in TNA, he can bring that back to not Ed Nordholm. What's the other guy's name? Anthony
Ciccone.
Yeah, that
Ciccione.
guy. Yeah, that guy.
Tony.
And be like, hey, this is what I got on the table. What can you do to match or better this?
And evidently they just said, no, none of that. We have the option on you.
No, we're going to exercise
Kick
option.
that can down the road, Jay.
Exactly. So
that's a bummer, but it's his business. That's contracts.
It is. It is a bummer because it'd have been great to see what Josh Alexander could have gotten for himself on the free agent market. He's a very good wrestler. He's an exceptionally good wrestler.
8 figures.
I don't know about that.
8 figures. Oh, you think 9 figures?
No.
Wow.
I mean 7, maybe.
$100 million.
No, 7 maybe. But no, not.
What do you think he's making? How many figures do you think he's making in TNA?
High 6.
High 6?
Mid 6.
Bro. Low 6, baby. Low 6.
Mid 6.
What do you think mid 6 is? 5?
Yeah.
Not a chance.
He is. It's like
not a chance.
I don't know. They're probably paying him, Moose, at least the two of them. Not obviously WWE money or AEW money, but decent.
How many days do you think he has to come to work?
Well, how many months are there? 12? What's 12 times 3? 36.
36. I'm saying this is what he makes. 72,000.
No, he doesn't make. He makes more than that. He makes more.
You don't make 500,000, man.
I don't know.
No,
I'm
bro.
Shocked that Anthem has the money to pay wrestlers competitive. Because he was a free agent. Josh Alexander was 2 years ago.
Yeah, he was working his construction job.
I know.
And then he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go full time."
And then they gave him a real contract.
He makes 6 figures, but it's probably like low 6
It could
figures.
be.
It's
It
low
could be.
6 figures.
It could be.
Because he also works the indies. He probably does well in the indies.
I don't know how many indie dates.
Not
he really
very. I don't think
works
very
anymore.
much.
No.
There was like a match announced recently that's going to be a banger of a match. I forgot what it was. It was him versus somebody. Oh man, who was it? It was somebody that I liked too. Shoot, I forget. Anyways, good. I hope he's making 500,000. I think it'd be
hope so,
awesome.
too.
I think he's great. I'm just sort of realistic about things.
Yeah, I might have overshot things with mid 6 figures, but
No, you know what, man? You're optimistic.
I'm
You're
hopeful.
hoping for the best.
I want
You're hoping for the
wrestlers
best.
all the wrestlers to make a lot of money.
I like how many people thought I looked like the Undertaker in this picture of me walking Gypsy.
All right.
I don't know why everybody was like, "Oh, it looks like the Undertaker." But I think if you do this, like Undertaker wears a beanie a lot.
Yeah,
maybe that's it. That's the situation.
That's the thing now. He does.
Anyways, we'll answer some questions in just a second here. But first, man, we want to point out we're on the road to the next palindrome subscriber number, and it's a very important thing for us to get our goals. We're very goal-oriented people. And right now we're stuck at 200,702.
We are 400 away.
Oh, that's right. We're 400 away. So if you guys haven't already, do us a solid. Look, we're broadcasting right now in 24 frames, right? If that doesn't make you like this,
You know what this is then, Steve?
it's a film.
This is cinema.
Yeah, this is cinema right here. So hit that subscribe button, hit the notify bell so you guys always get notified. Look, we're going to be going live. Don't you want your 2 a.m. Pacific time notification this coming Saturday morning?
I'm at the stream from the dining room table.
I think you do. Yeah, you might have to do that. So hit that subscribe button, hit the notify bell, hit the like button because we love likes. Also, I had a friendo ask me the other day. It was like, "Hey, you guys keep on talking about this bonus episode. What's this? What is this? You did an episode where you talk about grunge music and not pro wrestling? Wow, what is that? It's called Friendo Cast. It's our bonus weekly podcast series where we talk about not wrestling. No wrestling allowed. We talk about events and things and stuff not related to wrestling. And it's part of the Friendo Club setup. That's right. It's our fan club where you plunk down $5 a month. You get bonus episodes, including our entire back catalog of a lot of bonus episods.
Yeah.
You also get access to the question threads. We're about to read a bunch of great questions from the Friendos. And also the Big Blue Predictions Challenge. Larson, right now, the Big Blue Predictions Challenge is on. That's right. The form is available for people who have clicked join at youtube.com/Stephen Larson, or they've gone to patreon.com/Stephen Larson, signed up for the Friendo Club, set up at $5 a month. That's right. And the Big Blue Predictions Challenge is going on right now. You can fill out your predictions form right now. Cameron Shank is the current Big Blue Predictions champion. You know what I might start doing? So we've got this TV right here. Right now, as you can tell, it's off. It's not on. It's not even plugged in. Okay?
There's nothing on it.
It's going to be plugged in, though. And so we can put stuff on this TV right here. So maybe after one of there's a new Big Blue Predictions champion for an entire episode of either Friendo Club or Going in Raw, we'll put the Big Blue Predictions champion right there.
I have an idea, Steve.
What's your idea?
On this TV, can we put us shooting the show as we're shooting it? So it's infinite Stephen Larson. Can we do that, please?
We can actually.
I suggest for one episode we do that, please.
That is possible. So we run this, and then in the TV there's the TV.
Exactly.
And in that TV
it's infinite us.
Yeah, we could do any number of things with this TV back here. So that's pretty exciting.
Very exciting.
But yeah, so you can get all that stuff. The Friendo Club setup. That's $5 a month. There's two ways to get it. Patreon.com/Steve and Larson, or the other thing, join.
YouTube channel membership, yes.
Join right here. Yeah, exactly. So there's your ways to do it.
Yes.
And you want to answer? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, also hit that like button, please. We like a lot of likes on our videos because it makes us feel good. We like the validation that we're liked, that our content is popular and liked by as many people as possible.
Dude, yeah.
But also, I think, I could be wrong, it benefits the video to have a lot of likes.
That's what I've heard.
And so we want videos to do well. And because that makes us feel good, too, that's additional validation. A lot of people watch our stuff. Please help us with that and hit that thumbs up button. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Please. All right. Anyways, let's go ahead and answer some questions here. AJ Otani says, for the 40th anniversary of
WrestleMania,
I thought he meant maybe Going in Raw. Said, should WWE bring back the old WrestleMania song for replays of previous years? No. Wash the past away. It just get rid of it all.
Look forward.
We're in a new era. He didn't say we're in an old era of WWE. He said we're in a new era of WWE.
Doc Hensla says, with Drew benefiting greatly from CM Punk's injury in terms of creative, who else can you remember benefiting from another unfortunate injury in the last 5 years?
Kofi Mania. Ali was supposed to at least take some chunk of that. I don't think he was going to get to Mania, but
I think it's supposed to be Kevin Owens against Daniel Bryan at that year's WrestleMania.
Jason Dwyer says, who has quietly put together a great and underrated post WWE run? He says Trent. I mean, yeah, he was in NXT for a
he
second.
Was. Yeah.
Who has put together an underrated post?
I mean, if that's like where...
if that's the level of post WWE
there's obvious names, that were in WWE left and did a lot of really cool things. But if it's, someone who's not a name that would instantly come to mind, like you could say Matt Cardona or Swerve, you can list so many people that were in WWE and.
But what's a great but underrated? Like
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, I know he was super popular before he went to WWE, but what about Sin Cara, Mystico?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Really good he had a lot of difficulty, getting to where I think he wanted to be and probably WWE wanted to be in terms of popularity. While there, left. It's like one of the top performers in CMLL.
Yeah, that's good. I'd go with Serena Deeb. How about that?
Good.
Serena Deeb.
Good.
John, in Alistair voice.
John
says, rediscovered an oldie but a goodie song, Ballroom Blitz.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't help but think it could be a theme for a wrestler or premium live event.
Okay.
Dude, Ballroom Blitz. That's a good name for a premium live event.
All right.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
It all takes place in a ballroom.
Oh, you can have it at the Hammerstein.
The Hammerstein. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Ballroom Blitz. Ballroom Blitz.
You remember when that was when Tia Carrere's band covered that for Wayne's World?
That's actually how I knew about the song.
Yeah, no.
I didn't know it was a cover until way later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do this one. I know you don't necessarily like casting question, but this is more of a draft. Andrew Bates says, using only pro wrestlers as your selection pool, draft pool. Who is your starting 5 for the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game?
Oh, wow. We've answered kind of questions like this before.
Kind of.
So we know, like, The Miz plays ball.
Amos played college ball.
Amos. Yeah.
Satnam Singh was briefly with the Dallas Mavericks.
Is this all wrestlers or WWE?
It just says pro wrestlers.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, Amos, Satnam Singh.
Miz. I think Kofi plays. Who else played college ball? Oh, Lash Legend played college ball.
Have you seen all the Twitter memes now about Doc Rivers' line about everything?
Yeah.
It's kind of hilarious.
So anyways, who would of the available competitors in draft pool, who would you select first?
Probably Amos.
Yeah.
I mean, you want your sort of Shaq type.
Yeah.
You go with that first.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Remster says, what has more potential, a feud between The Rock and Roman, where Rock is the heel, or where Roman is the heel? So you only answer one, not one and then the other, because that's how it's going to be. It's going to be one, then the other.
Yeah.
What has more potential? The Rock. I would say where Rock is the bad guy, because Rock, the power dynamic is The Rock is the most powerful guy, like in entertainment, like legitimately. One of them.
No, I agree. I think a heel Rock maybe usurping control of the bloodline from Roman, and Roman having to kind of like start his redemption arc to face The Rock, I think could be some solid stuff.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. Killian Sawyer says, do you think WWE will ever try to completely scrub Hulk Hogan from history by not referring to him anymore after Roman breaks the record? Unless Hogan did something more than he's already done, but WWE seems to have no problems embracing Hulk Hogan. There's the possibility that he'd get like a second wave cancellation, because that happens sometimes. Like, it just sort of populates the zeitgeist. Somebody will say something. Yeah, remember when Hogan said this or Hogan did that? Mm-hmm. That's a possibility, but I get the feeling that's probably less likely at this point. WWE has re-embraced him over the past 5 years or 6 years, whatever it's been.
Yeah.
And I think that's here to stay.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes.
I do wonder if like they would ever consider, because Roman Reigns, Family Guy, I don't know if he'd have any like cancellation problems in the future. That's a tough question. I was going to say, given that Hulk is kind of old, and I doubt that he'd have very many issues in the future, do you think they'd rather rock with him as like the modern day guy? Or do you think they'd rather go with a guy, like if they would consider having Roman break the reign
of Hogan? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Do you think that plays into their decision-making process at all?
No, I don't think so.
When Randy became like the youngest champion ever, wasn't that kind of to scrub Brock from because he had left?
Yeah, but that was under, someone else was running things back then. I just don't know if Triple H is going to let things, to a degree, obviously. If he's got a story he wants to tell, and everything's aligning to culminate that story at WrestleMania, and by that I mean Cody beating Roman to win the title that he came to WWE to win, he's going to do that if he thinks that's the right time to do it. And I don't necessarily know if he's going to let Roman breaking Hogan's record inform that. Mm-hmm. If the story leads to that happening, they'll embrace it.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think they're going to let that dictate how they do things. But I could be wrong.
If Hogan had the record, like if there was no Bruno, if there was no Backlund, and no, is Hogan third?
I think
there
so.
Morales? Isn't Pedro Morales, or is that already gone?
I think Hogan's third.
Okay.
I think
third or fourth. Anyways, if Hogan was 1 and Roman was 2, they would do it.
Yeah, they might do it.
But he's third,
I know,
or fourth, or whatever it is.
I know. Because that's different. That's could potentially be an important story beat, that when Cody eventually beats them, then that might.
And by the way, people who say it's the Universal title, it's not that they don't care about that. No, they don't care about that. Doesn't matter.
No.
None of it really matters.
Yeah, I know. Ty Moore here says, what everyday aspect of your life would you proclaim exactly no pop? It's when I had to put something together for dinner last night, and it was kind of underwhelming. And I look at it and I taste it. I'm like, Exactly. No pop.
Exactly. No pop.
Sometimes you're in that situation where you're like, we just have kind of odds and ends we got to make something out of. Sometimes inspiration strikes and you get something good, and sometimes you're like, all right, well, it is what it is. I can eat it.
Yeah.
Is it exciting? Is it great? No.
What's the question again?
What everyday aspect of your life would you proclaim exactly no pop?
I love your answer. Yours is a really good answer. What everyday aspect of my life? You know what? It's for me, it is. So I told you my story yesterday about how whenever I pick up Bama, it's turned into this whole routine where her friends come up to me because I usually bring Bama like a snack for the way home. And now like I bring it for her friends too.
Yeah.
So at a certain point though, it becomes normalized and taken for granted. So now it's like, oh, here you go, girls. And then they go off. Exactly. No pop. Because it's not special anymore.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm going to stop doing that.
Yeah.
So that becomes special.
There you go.
Let's see here. David Matushek. If you were to associate Roman Reigns this is actually an easy one, to a fast food restaurant's fries, what would they be? It's McDonald's. Man, I think like amongst the fast food restaurants, they have the best fries.
Yeah.
I kind of want them to.
Yeah.
I might get some later.
Let's see. Dax Harwood.
You got to read it like Dax.
Well, would you put Bray Wyatt in the Hall of Fame this year or give it more time?
By the way, Dax Harwood did ask today. I think they sent the Patreon thing. Did you put the form up on Patreon as well? Okay, it's on Patreon now, Dax Harwood.
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Bray in the Hall of Fame this year or wait?
Yeah, this year.
Yeah, do it this year.
Yeah, this year, absolutely.
Do it this year, absolutely.
First ballot or whatever. Headliner, I guess
Headliner.
It's called. Elemental Giant says, do you think Daniel Bryan could have a match at WrestleMania 41? And who could it be against? Oh, contractually speaking?
Yeah, his contract, I think, is up in September.
I think he could.
He could if he wanted to. Yeah, he could.
That'd be kind of... Let me ask you, do you think he could be like the one guy who could do like without a contract with like an appearance deal?
Like go to New Japan.
WrestleMania. He could do Wrestle Kingdom, WrestleMania, all in.
I don't see why not.
You think all three companies would take him?
Yeah, absolutely.
They would, right?
Yeah, it's Bryan Danielson.
Daniel Bryan.
Well, in WWE, he beat Daniel Bryan. Benjamin Shank says, can we talk about wrestling instead of talking about dog shit? I'm fine with that.
Is that Cameron Shank?
No, Benjamin Shank.
Benjamin Shank? It's the secondary Shank brother.
I'm fine with that. We're not going to get anywhere with that conversation.
Oh man, it's been a funny one though. I've enjoyed it, but I think we're probably done with it. Like it's not going to go any further. Look, I know I posted the picture today and that was sort of my blow off moment.
Yeah.
And people have been having fun with it. I know people posted a picture of me and Gypsy on the moon, on your head, you in the background of that picture. Yeah. It's gotten a good response on social media. That being said, I don't necessarily know if I want the identity of this podcast to be talking about dog shit.
No, I most definitely do not.
So I think that conversation is good and done, and we're moving on.
Yes.
Marquez here says, Steve, are you the NXT whisperer? First you manifest NXT lawyer, and now Gallows and Anderson. What do you see? What do you foresee next in NXT's future? Do you want to break the news to Marquez about the Gallows and Anderson thing?
Well, they did go to NXT, didn't they?
Yeah, but I just got that off a spoiler.
Gotcha.
They taped it a week ahead.
That's right.
So I didn't manifest anything.
I
saw it on Twitter earlier in the day.
He read spoilers.
But what do I foresee next in NXT's future?
Gaze into the future. Come on, Nostradamus Steve. Give us a quatrain.
The next actor on the stage of NXT shall be the man known as Mustafa Ali. He's coming back.
Interesting.
He's coming back. That's right. No, it rhymes with NXT.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back.
I don't know. God, I don't even know what's going on. I did not watch. I saw that the lawyer was hanging out with Dijak because Dijak had kidnapped Joe Gacy.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Blake Whitehouse says, have you seen the O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s interview comments about AEW needing to give highlight packages to new wrestlers? If so, what's your stance on it?
With that, I agree 1,000%. There's,
I don't disagree with it.
There's not. I have many of. I got a little bit to say about O'Shea Jackson. There has been plenty of tweets of his wrestling takes that I disagree with on a wrestling level, you know, and that's totally cool. It's wrestling, it's silliness. The laziest insult you can throw at a guy is calling him Ice Cube's son. I think that is so tacky and cheesy. The guy is an accomplished actor in his own right. Is there nepotism at play? Probably, because everybody in Hollywood, you know, like there's some nepotism involved in a lot of Hollywood. That is not, the fact is that only takes you so far.
Yeah.
The man is an accomplished actor in his own right, and I can respect and appreciate that. The laziest, tackiest insult you can throw at a person is, oh, I wish Ice Cube's son would stop tweeting about wrestling. That is so tacky. That is so low grade. If you're going to criticize a person, criticize them based off of what they are saying, not throwing in cheap like digs because he's got a famous dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't, that's such a thing. I can't stand that. Yeah. That's so cheesy. The man is entitled to have his controversial wrestling hot takes. They're harmless. I often don't agree with them. When he talked about the AEW thing on the Chris Van Vliet thing, I 1,000% agree. I think that like when you bring in a new name, you know, I was thinking about this with Drew McIntyre and LA Knight when they had a little face-off. I don't remember if they ever had a feud in Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, I don't recall either.
I think they were there around the same time.
Yeah, I believe they were.
I would be so thrown off if they're like, hey, remember that time in Impact Wrestling we did a thing? I like that they keep it basically to what happened in the WWE.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that that's necessary in AEW. But one of my biggest complaints about AEW is exactly what he said. Somebody shows up and all I have is Excalibur ranting about them. What do I care about what Excalibur has to say about this person? I would love to see it. Show me why I give a damn about this person. Don't just rant about what they've done and where they've done it. Oh, yeah. Look at this person. He automatically has history with this person. No, man, if you're going to bring somebody in, yes, your hardcore audience will know about this person, but like a lot of other people might not. And you're just alienating them by not telling the whole story. When you go live on cable television, tell us a complete story. Don't rely on a bunch of other bullshit that's happened elsewhere.
You know, there's a happy medium, I think, between referencing the past stories that, you know, for example, Eddie and Claudio. There's a wealth.
They showed that stuff.
They did, but it took them a while to show it. You know, it wasn't like an instantaneous thing. But, you know, you have someone coming in new, for example, and I'm at this point, I'm used to how AEW presents, you know, talent coming in from other promotions or debuting new talent. So I'm just kind of used to it. But if they had advertised and marketed with video packages, I know they mentioned it like a week in advance. The CMLL talent that was sitting ringside, like, give us some video packages about these wrestlers, about CMLL. Yeah. I mean, I know it's the oldest wrestling promotion in the world, continuously active one, but like, give people who watch AEW some backstory about why CMLL is important to the history of wrestling and who these wrestlers are.
Yeah,
you know, and there's no harm in doing that whatsoever. You're giving your audience a reason why you're having, whether this promotion, this wrestler, you're bringing someone in, whatever, why you're having them involved in the show and the stories you're trying to tell.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There's only upside, I feel like, in doing that. Now, if you do that, and then as part of that say, oh, by the way, this wrestler has history with this wrestler. Oh, Bryan Danielson's been wanting to wrestle Blue Panther for 10 years, or however long it's been.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Then, okay, you have the larger picture of why CML is important, but instantly we have a personal story there you can focus on.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
You know, and all that can be accomplished in like a 2-3 minute video package.
Yeah, right.
You know, you have some interviews with people. You have Bryan Danielson talking about, you know, wanting to have a match with Blue Panther or whoever it might be. And it's a quick, effective way to bring in new wrestlers to your promotion. And you know, there's something to be said for saying, hey, Vikingo's going to show up and bang, next week he has a match.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to it, but it'd be nice, but I understand too that we as, wrestling podcasters, not only do we watch WWE and AEW, we have to kind of like be aware of wrestling in general around the world.
Yeah.
And while we may not watch, a ton of AAA or CMLL or whatever promotion we're talking about, we try to be aware of it.
Yeah, sure.
So even if we'd never seen a Vikingo match before you show up in AEW, which we had, we would be aware of the name and the reputation he brings. Not everybody is us.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You know, and it seems like far too often AEW caters to wrestling fans like us who are hyper aware of like everything going on, and maybe they there's data that says they make up a huge portion of their audience. And so because of that, Tony Khan doesn't feel the need to do these kind of introductory video packages.
I think it's his preferred way.
It could be.
It's his philosophy of let's just have random dudes show up and that'll pop like 50,000 people on our fan base.
It could. I don't know. It could be because there's been times where they've done the video packages and times where they haven't.
Because dude, even when you're talking about Vikingo, you and I were very familiar with his work. We have seen a lot of Vikingo matches. Yeah. We knew what he was about. And it was just sort of, next week, we got Vikingo coming.
Oh, here he's, yeah.
It's like, what, fucking give me, like, this is a big deal. Make it a big deal.
Make it feel like a huge deal.
Make it feel like a huge, because that's a huge deal.
It is.
When Okada came, he was wearing, like, sweatpants and a white shirt.
I know. At least that was an impactful moment when he showed up, leading up to the first Forbidden Door. Like, he showed up and, he wasn't wearing his, like, UV infused robe, UV light infused robe or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But he came out and had an impactful
the
AEW
segment
debut.
Itself made it mattered.
It mattered, leading up to Forbidden Door.
I agree with that.
Because the whole build to Forbidden Door, you're like, is Okada going to be involved? Is he not? And he's there. And he's in the title match.
And then you hear the coin drop.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
Wearing sweatpants.
but it's for someone to catch flack because they want a promotion to put forth the effort to introduce wrestlers to their audience. I mean, like, why?
Yeah,
why?
I know.
I mean, there's upside to AEW doing it. There's upside to AEW doing it if they did it that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that. Anyway, stop slamming the guy because he has a famous dad. If you're going to criticize a person, criticize them for the substance of what they're saying. Obviously, he is a personality now in the wrestling sphere, and so critique him based on that. And by the way, it's just wrestling opinions.
It's just wrestling.
It's just wrestling. Yeah. People get weird about that stuff.
I know.
Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you around.
Goodbye.